Hey, Crimson Tide fans, welcome into our 8th edition here of the Alabama Adapted Athletics Coaches Show on BamaAdapted.com. I'm Alex Boothe, joined alongside my partner, Spencer Tomsett. Today, we're lucky enough to be joined by the Director of Marketing, Kellcie Temple. Kellcie, thank you so much for joining us today.
No problem.
Privileged to be joined by your friend, that marketing gal, and Blake's wife. A very special day today, and you've been busy on the media trail. You had a student organization appearance last week. You got this media appearance. You just like the camera all of a sudden.
Oh, yes. I'm usually behind-the-scenes kind of gal, but not this week.
And as you may be able to hear in the background right now, our women's team is practicing, currently prepping for the Illinois away tournament they have this weekend, as they'll leave Thursday morning for that. But, Kellcie, while you're here with us, we'll go ahead and get into our questions. First, can you kind of explain to the fans what all Director of Marketing entails for you?
Sure. It's a lot of jobs. It's basically anything to do with digital media. Bringing fans into the arena is my main job, but anything to do from our website to our social media to anything printed, any kind of fan engagement kind of things. Me and Kinsey kind of cross paths there and work together to bring fans in. So I'm just promoting games and promoting tennis and track as well. So.
Yeah, the tennis at track scene, it's not as the thing is with us on the broadcast crew, we're more focused on the basketball side. Certainly, once we get the equipment capabilities and the personnel, tennis will be an integral part of that. But you were mentioning, we were talking about this off air of how the tennis team has a tournament this week and trying to make sure that they get fans in. What responsibilities do you have? Because I know Kenzie is more she's the director of fan engagement and sides. But what are you going to do potentially in tandem with Kenzie to try and get attendance up?
I think it's really important to engage community. So whether that be local community, student groups communities, UA community, just engaging as many fans as we can and educating people. A lot of people don't know we're here. A lot of people don't know that sports exist for athletes with disabilities. So educating on what wheelchair basketball, wheelchair tennis, para-track and field, what that means, how exciting it can be. And then just getting them here. I've always said, since the very beginning I stepped in these doors, if we can just get them here, if we can just have them come in the door, then that's all we have to do because they'll be hooked,
And obviously things can get very hectic planning these home tournaments. For you, what is the schedule like around helping plan these tournaments in Strayhorn Arena?
It's never the same, and that's what I like about it. I couldn't just sit at a desk all day and do the same thing. So it's always different. It's always varying depending on if we're going on the road or if we're staying here. So our women's team is going on the road this weekend, but our tennis team is staying at home. So I opted to stay home with the tennis team, help them prepare, help them get fans out and everything like that. So I will be doing all of the website, social media, that kind of thing from here, while our teams are kind of split away. So it really just depends. If it's a home tournament, we are setting up to make sure that we can host all of our fans here, make sure that we're promoting for those student groups to come out and watch wheelchair basketball games, communicating with professors of do you want to give your students extra credit if if they come to wheelchair basketball games, anything like that, any kind of promotion. And then away, it's just making sure we're packed and all of our equipment's ready to go on the road. So.
I do have to ask because we've had a lot of travel with you, and one of the things I've noticed is that you could pretty much sleep anywhere,
Absolutely.
Regardless of whether it's on the floor of the Auburn gym or in the bus, even in curled up. Where do you think you inherited that skill from?
It's a gift of mine. I've done
One
it
of many.
ever since I was very small. My parents, my husband, they can all tell you I can sleep anywhere and everywhere. And I'm always tired, so that's the negative side of it. But no, I can sleep anywhere. I'm game to nap on the Auburn gym floor. Absolutely.
Well, while we're talking about going on the road, obviously you've been with the program several years now. What's become your favorite place to go to when the Tide travel?
Auburn's fun. We just went there, so that's top of mind. I like Arizona. Flying to Arizona is really cool. I'm a big cactus person. It's very deserty. Arizona, I would say, is the most exciting and fun place that we get to go.
Any thoughts on Texas, Arlington?
I like Dallas, Texas, Fort Worth. It's good. It's a nice ride. It's not like our 12, 15
Yeah.
hour bus rides. It's more of like that 8 to 10 range, which is good for me. So, yeah.
And you mentioned Arizona. I love the scenery out in Arizona. It was my first time going there when we went there a couple weekends ago to Tucson to the Arizona tournament. And I just love seeing all the mountains and the scenery out there. It's so different, especially going when you stay out in the east of the United States and you move out west.
Yes, absolutely. It's beautiful. And the mountains and it's just very different from Tuscaloosa. Very different.
It certainly is. And I just want to ask you, since you've been doing this job for multiple years now, what's really become your favorite part about it?
My favorite part, I would say, obviously I love the students, like the student athletes are, keep it exciting, keep it fun and fresh. I think my passion is social media and creating content, creating awareness for what we're doing here at Adapted. So as far as my job goes, I would say my heart is social media and creating a space for disabled athletes. But as far as like coming to work every day, I love interacting with the athletes. I think that's the most fun part.
You mentioned also with fans, the first thing you have to do is get them in the door. Mm-hmm. I'm interested to know, what was your first experience like getting in the door at Strand Arden?
So I started as a manager on the women's team. I was a marketing major, so I didn't have we have a lot of kinesiology majors or just people in general with science. They tend to, we have a big footprint in those schools, but business, we don't tend to get a lot of business majors. And so a friend had a kinesiology class with Dr. Harden, and she was like, do you want to go be a women's manager with me? And I was like, sure. And then I showed up to the meeting, and she didn't show up. She like left me hanging. And so it was just me by myself. And yeah, that was my first experience. I met with Coach Hines, and I kind of just jumped right in. We practiced at 5 a.m. back in those days.
Wow.
So I was just jumping in, went to 5 a.m. practices. My parents were like, what are you doing? Like, why are you doing this? I was like, I just want to be part of a team, And so, that was my first experience. And I love to see people's first experience seeing wheelchair basketball, because you have all these expectations of what you think it's going to be. And then they just like break every barrier, and it's the coolest thing.
Now I know why you're completely comfortable and seem completely ready to go early in the mornings on these bus trips, because I'm not a morning person.
No.
So getting here at 3, 4, 5 in the morning, I still show up on time. But now I understand why you're just completely wide awake and already loading stuff onto the bus, because you've been doing this for several years now.
Yes, it's been a long time. I also do not like early mornings, but we make it work.
You don't show it, that's for sure.
Well, I think that's a great story to end on, Kellcie. And once again, thank you for joining us here today on the Bama Adapted Athletics Coaches Show. And thank you, Crimson Tide fans, for tuning in wherever you may be watching. Be sure to follow us at Bama Adapted on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and many other social media platforms, TikTok. And we'd also like to take this time to thank Honey Stinger for sponsoring the Alabama Adapted Athletics Coaches Show, and many of our other sponsors like Physio Elite, Hollister, Powerade, and many others for allowing us to do what we do every day. Be sure to tune in to our next Alabama Adapted Athletics Coaches Show next week, when we try to start to get into more of the coaches here and start talking about the home tournaments that we have moving forward, as we've been on the road recently the past few weekends. Thank you for watching, and Roll Tide.